You all want to have some fun this week? All right. So we're going to sing this song. It's called I Am Opening Up. And this side of the room will do one thing, and this side of the room will do another. So everybody just kind of warm them up. Me. Whatever it is you got to do. And so if you see me do this, this means keep going. If you see me do this, it means bring it in for a landing. All right, so I'm going to sing it through one time so you can hear the whole thing. And this side of the room will do I am opening up to sweet surrender to the luminous love light of my soul. This side of the room will do the I am opening, I am opening, I am opening. All right, so this is what it should sound like when we're done. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of my soul. I am opening up in sweet surrender the luminous love light of my soul. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening this side. I am opening up in sweet surrender the luminous love light of my soul. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of my soul. I am opening. I am opening. What happened? I am opening. I am opening. Keep going. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of my soul. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of my soul. I am opening up in sweet surrender, luminous love light of my soul. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of my soul. Woo! Y'all are all right with me.
You're all right with us.
That's good. That's a good thing. So this morning we are talking about living on purpose. So I am never without a what happened to me on my way to Unity of Merritt Island story. So I live in one of these gated communities. It's kind of like heaven. Never really thought of heaven as a gated community, but hey. So there's one way in and one way out. Here I am this morning on my way out. And I guess there was a tree and some limbs that hadn't decided that it wanted to fall until some point last night. So I get to my gate, and the gate can't open because there's a tree laying across the thingamabob. Yeah, huh? Technical terms, I know. And, you know, after a whole week of this storm stuff, I get to the gate and I'm like, are you serious? The one day that I have exactly 60 minutes to get to where I'm going, I can't get out. So during the week, for those of you who don't know, I was a part of our first responder team. So I actually showed up at work last Saturday morning and I was there until Tuesday evening. I love where I work, but not that much. And there's a gentleman that I usually have coffee with on Saturday morning. He has coffee. I walk around the perimeter of our community. And he'll usually see me. He's like, Pastor, what you talking about tomorrow? And I told him, I said, I'm talking about living on purpose. And he goes, tell me a little bit more about that. And I told him, I said, it is about realizing, recognizing, and understanding the reason why we as individuals are here and doing that to the fullest capacity that we have to do. And he was like, wow. He said, man, that's kind of deep. And so this morning, while I'm sitting there thinking to myself some very choice words, about the limb that's across the street, out of the rubble pops Doc. And he's like, hey, Pastor, I'm living on purpose this morning. I'm like, what? And I hear chainsaws. So he has rounded up his chainsaw posse, and they are in the middle of cutting this tree up into pieces so that people could get through the gate. And he said, I saw your car out of your driveway, and I know usually if your car is backed out of your garage, you got about 15 minutes before you leave. He said, and I was out walking the dog, and I saw the tree, and I figured I better round up my boys because Pastor's got to get out of here and go talk about purpose. So this morning he was on purpose. Now, this is really the third installment of our Soul on Fire series. Last week, we didn't get to engage in the component called Let Your Life Speak. I promise I will share that message with you all before the end of the year. But this is week 3, and week 3 is about living on purpose. Now, this whole Soul on Fire series and thought process, this thing has been alive in me for a long time. And I can date it back a few years to when I came across a book that's called I Will Not Die, an Unlived Life. That was one of the first books I bought when I walked into my very first Unity bookstore. And I knew I was at home because we sang songs about peace. We sang the peace song at the end of service. We did the prayer for protection, and there was a bookstore. I was like, man, I need a buggy. So that was one of the first things that I bought. And I want to share the poem with you that really parallels Donna Markova's work through the book. And it says, I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, or a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as a seed goes to the next as a blossom, and that which came to me as a blossom goes to the next as fruit. I will not die an unlived life. Now, I tell you, I began this journey of thinking about this series, and I'm going to learn when people ask me for stuff. I'm telling them, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Just put my name down, and I'll be there, and we'll talk about stuff. Because once I get confined to a topic, it starts to work in me. Now, I know many of you may think that preachers and teachers and speakers, that we prepare a message just for y'all. But for me, it lives in me a lot longer than I live in this room with you all. So this has been chasing me around my house and through the storms. Now, I believe that in every person there is something that waits and it listens. One of the luminaries and great spiritual teachers for me is Howard Thurman, and he writes something called The Sound of the Genuine. I heard it first at a friend of mine's graduation from Spelman College. It says that there is in every person something that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine within. There is in you something that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in your heart, your soul, the labor of your hands, between the breaths, and within the activity of your limb. No one like you has ever been born, and no one like you will ever be born again. You are the only one of you. You are the only one of you. The only one of you. Now, I've watched movies and stuff, and there's this term called doppelgangers, people, things that look like us, and I've been told that I have a twin. I hope she makes more money than I do and has a very cooler life. But I want to look at an idea about being on purpose, because I like the meanings of language, and I want to share with you the definitions of what stuff means. The word on, it is defined as physically in contact with and supported by a surface. My paper is on the lectern. I am standing on the platform. You are seated on those chairs. There is stuff laying and standing back on the ledge floor. So we understand on, right? All right, so we're going to move on. Purpose. The reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists, and has one's intention or objective. So really the reason that something is done or created, the reason that something is done or created, when I put them together, being in contact with and supported by the reason for which we have been created. So the idea of our purpose, we are never far from it. Our purpose is not in the trunk of our car. It's not in our handbag and under our seats. And it's certainly not in those boxes and bags in our garages and closets. I believe that there is something that calls all of us. I believe that every human being has value and purpose, and the real work of our lives is to become aware and awakened and answer the call. Having a purpose, knowing the purpose, doesn't mean anything if we aren't willing to live the purpose. I could be the greatest expert on what my purpose is, but if I'm not willing to do the thing, what's the point? I'm just hanging out on the planet, taking up space, breathing air, and not doing anything with this existence that we call life. Now, I learned that the journey to finding my own purpose, it is traveled inch by inch, moment by moment, and breath by breath. I wish I could tell you that I went from zero to purpose. And there's all it was. But no, the journey for me is the reward. You see, even being here with you is a part of my purpose because this is the divine appointment that was set in motion before I even knew what life itself was. The message is simple. Being and living and loving on purpose, it's not simply meant to be found and discovered. It's meant to be lived. It's meant to be shared. It's meant to be eaten and spoken. It's meant to be lived. Our purpose is designed, is called out of all of the experiences that are woven into this thing that we call life. You see, there's a passage in the book of Jeremiah, the 1st chapter, the 15th verse, that says that I knew you and I called you into being. This is the voice speaking to the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah was engaged in this whole thing. Now, I don't know if you all know anything about pity parties, because, maybe I'm the only one who does that every now and then. I pull out my list and I take inventory of my faults and my shortcomings and my mistakes and all the stuff I could have, I should have, and I would have done if I had just ... Jeremiah was engaged in that. And he heard the voice of the divine that says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you and I called you to be a prophet to the nation. Now, here's the thing about purpose. Purpose gets here first. We meet our purpose at a particular point in time. The purpose is set in motion, and then here we come along, and we find and discover and start to live our purpose. Now, I believe that there are so many stories in Scripture where this person's purpose is just laid out for them. We see this even in the life of Jesus the Christ, where the purpose is there, the path is laid out. All you got to do is figure out, oh, snap, this is for me. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Or if it works in your mind like it does in mine, you just ease on down the road. But the trick to figuring out that path, that's what I'm talking about. The trick to figuring it out is you got to be willing to take the first step. I know, it's everywhere, isn't it? Got to be willing to take the first step. I am a kid at heart, and I love Christmas cartoons. And there is one of them that says you got to put one foot in front of the other. You'll be walking across the floor and out the door. That's how we do it. You put one foot in front of the other. See, that's what I'm talking about. Find my people. Now, when we can take this first for ourselves and then for the sake of others, then we're doing something. You see, this alone will allow us the opportunity to see, to hear, to understand, and to know. Because my greatest examples have always been in the room with me. Those moments where I felt paralyzed by fear and confused by the journey. I look around and I see other people living in their purpose. And I go, they can do it, me too. He can do it, me too. She can do it, me too. And hopefully there is someone who says, if she can do it, me too. It means that we've got to want to push out from the shore because the shore is where the shallow water is, unless you saw some of those pictures from Irma where there was water and then there wasn't any. But you got to be willing to push out from that shallow portion of where you are out into the deep. There's a story in the Gospel of Luke where Jesus was preaching along the shore, and there were so many people, he looked at one of the guys, he said, "Hey, can I borrow your boat?" He said, "Sure, come on. Come on." And so Simon allowed Jesus to be able to teach and preach from the boat. And it's one of my favorite stories because they were fishing in what we know as the Sea of Galilee. And back in that day when you fished at night. So here it was early in the morning. He gets on board the boat with Simon and he says, "Hey, let's go out to where the fish are biting." And they push out into the deep portion of the water. Now, I don't know what Simon thought. I would have been like, man, I've been up all night. I ain't catch not a thing. And now here you want me to go way out there? It is like that in our living. We have to be willing to get out of the familiar shallow, the kiddie pool, and go out into the deeper ends of life. Because when we are called, that's the thing about being called. Being called is not a constant conversation that you get to engage from exactly where you're standing. When somebody calls you, if it's like it was in my house, if my mother called me, I couldn't just go, "Huh?" Because the thing that followed that was, "Come here." I had to stop what I was doing and go see what she wanted. That's how the call is in our lives. You have to stop what you are doing and go see what Spirit wants of you. You cannot be still and know that I am God. That is not the moment to do that. That is the moment to take up your bed, take up everything from where you are, and go and see what is yours to do. You see, in Unity, we talk a lot about purpose, but we don't ever say the P word. We'll say it in these beautiful, fluffy things that I love. That which is mine to do. We have to discover that which is ours to do, because you are the only you, and if you don't do it, then it doesn't get done. You see, when you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got, and if that's enough, hush. If it is not enough, live, move, breathe, and go. I had a friend of mine some weeks ago that talked to me about where have I been? And I said, well, I have been on the great itinerant preacher tour this summer. I've been hanging out with Reverend Rose's people, and I am loving life. And I would love to hang out over here with y'all, but I wasn't called to stay. I was called to go. I know it's cool when I'm over here because I am a whole lot of fun. But my calling is to take this party, this show on the road and help other people's lives change. You see, our purpose is not a one-time thing. Because I had this moment, I had a couple of years of this pity party that I had missed the boat, thinking that my purpose is something that I live and I do when I was 20, when I was agile, when I had freedom. I didn't have a dog and I didn't have plants. I didn't have a mortgage. I could do what I want. I drove a car that I paid $300 for. It only went 45 miles an hour, but I could go. That was the thing that I loved. I could go. Just went slow. But here's the thing. Our purpose is not confined to our 20s. It's not anchored in the mistakes and the shames of our past. Our purpose is a continuum. It keeps going. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps on going. This is my purpose. This is my purpose. And you got to be willing, my friends. Yeah, that word is again, the W word. You got to be willing to just keep going. Because we might think that we are looking for our purpose, but sometimes in the looking, we are on purpose. Because if that's the thing that gets us moving, then that's the thing that we need. I have this issue in my house that every time I am ready to leave, my keys hide from me. I've been told don't leave them in the car. That's a bad thing. But my keys hide from me. And I used to get angry and I'd get frustrated. And I heard someone say to me with such a loving voice, Kathy, nothing's ever lost in the universe. I was like, well, if it ain't lost, what is it? We are not lost. We are not disconnected from our purpose. Our purpose is not out there at the corner of and at the intersection of. Our purpose is right here. And it is calling us to connect and to intersect with other people in the living of our lives while they are in the living of their life. And when we connect, that's when stories get told. Laughter is heard. Tears are shed. Lives are changed. This morning, we started a couple of minutes late, but that's all right because every single person in this room was exactly on purpose in the middle of the conversations, in the middle of the check-ins to make sure that we were okay, in the middle of asking the questions, what do you need? How can I help? We were all on purpose. Doc was absolutely on purpose with his chainsaw posse this morning. You see, we come into this world equipped, already equipped. We got it. We don't have to go nowhere to get it. We got it. Can we say, I got it? I got it. Say it like you mean it. I got it. You see, we have skills, we have gifts, we have talents. We come into the world as these tiny little 3-4 pound babies. I know it's so because I saw little pictures of tiny me. I go, ooh, where's that figure now? Where's the thinner, sleeker, not vocal me? We come equipped with everything that we need. But our culture, our society says, no, you need longer hair, you need more hair, you need to be thinner, you need to be taller, you need to be more tan, you need to be more of a man, you need to be all of this stuff. But all you need to do is be you, because there's only one you. We live on purpose. Just like I am standing on this platform and these pages are resting on this lectern, that is how close our purpose is to our physicality. We are never far from that which is ours to do. What happens is we just have to find a way to connect. It was Aristotle who said, at the intersection of where your gifts and talents and abilities meet the human need, therein you discover your purpose. We intersect all day long, every day. You see, if it was up to me, I would be the biggest recluse on the planet because I have seen commercials, I've seen the online ads. I can have anything I want and need and desire at any moment delivered right to my front door. Except for electricity when I want it and air conditioning when I swear I need it. But our lives were meant to overlap. I was not meant to live in my apartment waiting for the UPS truck. I was not meant to live in my townhouse waiting for Publix to bring me some Cheetos and some Doritos. No, I was meant to go to those points and intersect with other people who are also seeking Cheetos and Doritos. But here is the thing, my friend. We have to pay attention. Pay attention to the world. Pay attention to the very voice of the divine that continually speaks to us, that says to you, go forward, go out, stand up, say something, do something, be right there where you are. Our purposes are simple. They're 2-word stories. Turn around, pay attention, stand up, speak out, hold on, be here, come here. That's how we live on purpose. So it is my hope and my prayer that as we continue to move the debris and the limbs and things that find their way in our path, that we will continue to intersect with others around us, that we will be light for them, we will be truth for them, we will be grace for them, that we will be all that we were born and called into this existence to be. I and my purpose are one. Can we say that? I and my purpose are one. Y'all so spiritual. Say it like you mean it. I and my purpose are one. This is how we live on purpose. Amen. And so it is.